Thousands of years before the dragons of House Targaryen conquered Westeros, the powerful creatures were believed to originate in the Far East, perhaps in the Shadow Mountains or beyond. From there, they migrated west and spread throughout the known world, with dragon bones found as far as Ib and Sithorios. Dragons were born from eggs and started out the size of a cat, but would grow throughout their lives, with some becoming large enough to eat an auroch or mammoth whole. Although it was difficult to determine their gender, most maesters believed you could distinguish them by observing which lay eggs and which do not. However, some, like Septon Barth, disagreed and believed dragons were able to change their gender as needed and therefore could not be properly categorized. Dragons were believed to be connected to the seasons and magic, with some claiming winters worsened after their extinction, and that with their departure, magic also left the world. Roughly 5,000 years before Aegon's conquest, the Valyrian people discovered dragons in the 14 Fires, a chain of volcanoes near their territory. Legends say the Valyrians were simple sheep herders when they found the creatures, using magical dragon horns to tame them and over time developing a bond which allowed some of their people to mount and ride dragons, making them near invincible in combat. The Valyrian freehold conquered much of Essos with the help of their dragons, establishing many cities and building the dragon roads, connecting territories throughout the continent. In the year 114 before conquest, the Valyrian peninsula was destroyed in a cataclysmic event known as the Doom, which eliminated the central government, killing nearly all known dragons and leaving Essos to descend into a century of chaos and war. House Targaryen, a minor Valyrian noble family, survived the Doom because they left Valyria years earlier, having moved to the far western island of Dragonstone. House Targaryen also possessed 5 of the last dragons known to exist, and while 4 eventually died, they left eggs behind which hatched into Vhagar and Meraxes, who along with Balerion the Blackdread joined Aegon and his sister wives in their conquest of Westeros over a century after the Doom. The dragons made a lasting impact on the people of the continent during the burning of Harrenhal and the Field of Fire, which killed many and convinced a number of realms to bend the knee to the Targaryen conquerors. However, Dorne refused to yield, launching a guerrilla war supported by the Smallfolk, which ousted the invaders, even killing the dragon Meraxes and her rider in 10 AC during the First Dornish War. For 100 years, the Targaryens would thrive, supported by their powerful dragons and dragon riders. However, devastation came during the Dance of the Dragon Civil War, when a dispute for the Iron Throne between Rhaenyra Targaryen and her half-brother Aegon II erupted and plunged Westeros into war. Of the 20 dragons alive when the dance began, only 4 survived the fighting, greatly diminishing their population and breeding potential. Over the reign of Aegon III, the son of Rhaenyra, who was crowned king after the war, the remaining dragons died, with those born to House Targaryen in later years proving sickly and weak, with nearly all dying in their infancy. Aegon III became known as Dragonbane because it was under his reign that the dragon race was believed to have gone extinct. Though some contend dragons may have survived the doom of Valyria in the Far East and may continue to exist in remote areas. Although the dragons were gone, a number of unhatched eggs remained. In 259 AC, King Aegon V attempted to hatch 7 dragon eggs in a ritual at Summerhall. However, the attempt failed, causing a massive fire which killed the king, his son Duncan, and many others. Decades later, 3 eggs made their way to Pentos, where Illyrio Mopatis acquired them to give as a wedding gift to Daenerys Targaryen, the exiled child of Mad King Aerys, last Targaryen king of Westeros. Although the eggs were simply believed to be decorative stones, they later hatched when placed in the funeral pyre of Khal Drogo, which held the Khal's dead body, Daenerys' stillborn child, and the witch Mirri Maz Duur. As they burned, Daenerys entered the flames, but survived and emerged with 3 freshly hatched dragons. Although they were small in the beginning, Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion grew over time, aiding Daenerys in her conquest of Slaver's Bay. However, they soon grew out of control, and Daenerys chose to lock 2 of them away in Meereen to prevent them from hurting innocent people as they hunted for food. The largest of the 3, Drogon, flew away, however, and continued to grow large, later returning during the reopening of the fighting pits to carry Daenerys away, flying her to the Dothraki Sea. Back in Meereen, Quentyn Martell released the other 2 dragons from captivity when he attempted to tame one in the hopes that the minor amounts of Targaryen blood in his lineage might make it possible. But Quentyn was burned alive in the attempt and died several days later of his injuries. Although maesters were responsible for preserving knowledge in Westeros, some have come to theorize that they were directly or indirectly responsible for the extinction of the winged race and the suppression of works related to magic and dragons. Some go as far as to say the maesters conspired to encourage fighting during the Dance of the Dragons, and may have poisoned or killed off the last of their kind after the war, sabotaging Aegon III's attempts to breed new hatchlings, and may even have caused the tragedy of Summerhall. A special thanks to all those who have contributed to CivilizationEx. You make these videos possible, and I am eternally grateful for your support. If you would like to help CivilizationEx and want a say in the future content of this channel, click on the Patreon link in the description box below, and pledge any amount you'd like on a monthly basis. Or if you would prefer to make a single donation, you can use the PayPal link, also in the description below. And please be sure to like and subscribe, and click on the links to see more.